Good afternoon. I appreciate the Tipoff Club inviting me to speak. This is truly an honor to be back at home here in Knoxville. You'll have to excuse my voice. We've been traveling quite a bit. I play in Russia, over in Ekaterinburg, Russia. It's like 2.5-hour flight from Moscow. And before we left, we had a little road trip. So we went from Ekaterinburg to Italy to Moscow. My husband plays in China, so we spent Christmas with my husband in Tianjin, China. So we flew to Tianjin, China. And then I decided to come back to the States for a couple days, so I flew to LA. I needed to go see my family in Chicago, so we flew to Chicago. And then now I'm here. So this has been quite a whirlwind, but like I said, it's great to be home. Overseas is a difficult thing because you don't get to come back as much as you'd like to. And a lot of things have changed. I was able to go by Coach Summitt's plaza, which is absolutely amazing and breathtaking. They did a fabulous job with that. And just to see the different changes around the university and to see how much people like you guys have done for this university and for players and people that are attending this university. It's funny because I always watched UT growing up. I won't say that I always was going to come here, but I always definitely watched. I was a huge fan when the Three Meeks were playing and Tennessee went undefeated. And I remember in 7th grade, my dad, he bought me a hat. And it was a Tennessee hat. He said, on the inside of it, he wrote, "I don't coach effort." And it was a slogan that Coach Summitt had in her book. And ever since I got that hat, I think that's kind of when I fell in love with basketball. That's kind of when I wanted to devote my time. Instead of going to the movies with my friends, I was working on my jump shot, so Nikki didn't have to exert too much effort. Instead of, going to the mall, I was working on my dribbling handles, which Coach Summitt sometimes didn't like me to exhibit all the time, my flashy dribbling handles. But, it's after receiving that, it motivated me to work hard and to aspire to be recruited by Tennessee. And I remember when that moment came, I opened my mailbox and I received, then it was kind of like you had to fill out questionnaires, and I received a questionnaire from Tennessee, and I ran in with the letter and I was waving it, and I was like, yeah, Dad, Mom, I made it, Tennessee's recruiting me. And I opened it and it was volleyball. So I said, okay, I've got a lot of work to do, And I'd like to tell that, the coaching staff of Tennessee, volleyball was ahead of their time and they saw what truly was involved for me. But, the recruiting process was difficult. I narrowed my list down to schools, but I remember it was a recruiting visit. Coach Summitt, Nikki Caldwell, Holly Warlick, they came through the house and Coach cleared some things up for me, and she had a glass full of water, and it was kind of diluted because my recruiting process, I didn't know quite where I was going to go. People were feeding me information. I didn't, negative recruiting, how things go. And she put some Alka-Seltzer in there and said, this is the cloudy view that you see. And she said, Tennessee's going to clear that up. And my parents were sold right then and there. They were like, we got it, this is it. And I took my time, but I'll never forget the day that I called the office and told them that I was going to attend the University of Tennessee. And I'll tell you, it's the best decision I've made in my life. The life experiences that I've learned since I've been here, and the people that I've met and the impact that they've had on my life. I've had a lot of experiences here at Tennessee and learned a lot of lessons. I won't say that they were always the easiest thing to learn, but they were in fact lessons. And it's funny, a lot of those lessons are a result of Pat Summitt. I'll never forget when I first met her. I was in 7th grade, and I was at the game Tennessee versus DePaul, and she walked up to me. My dad was with Tamika Ketch's dad, and she's like, Ketch's dad was like, this is Candace Parker. She's in 7th grade, and she wants to play basketball. And I was about the same height as I am now, and she said, "We're gonna have to take you home and fatten you up." And after somebody explained to me what she said, because the deep Southern accent I didn't quite understand, I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm gonna have to go home and eat. And so I went on a strength program and I lifted weights, and then when I got to UT, I wasn't much bigger. But I'll say that Coach Summitt is a living testament of every word of advice that she utters. And I think that that's seldom seen in this day and age, where every word that you speak, you live by. You're not just giving instruction to everybody else, that you're living by it. And so she always spoke, and I know you guys have read all the books and heard all the stories of all the line drills, so I'll skip all of that. Yeah, it was hard. Tennessee, it was hard. But she always taught us to, and the one definite dozen policy that I always lived by, especially when I got to UT, was to handle success like you handle failure. I mean, I think that says it all. And when I got to Tennessee, I had a lot of obstacles. You know, my knee was hurting. I was going through some personal problems. I wouldn't say it was failure, it was just obstacles. And she was always there with the door open. When we would sit on the couch and I would talk, and then she would open the door and tell me to go work. You know, go work. No, go work, and go work for it. And so then I remember when we had success, that first national championship in 2007, boy, we thought we arrived. We won the national championship, and you couldn't tell us anything. And I remember that next year when we came back for that first practice, and she was like, you guys haven't done anything. You know, you have to handle success like you handle failure. You know, you've had a little bit of success, but success is a journey, it's not a destination. And if you just completely just think about all the successes that you've had in the past, then you're not going to have any in the future. So that kind of really stuck with me, the way I'm living and how I'm going forward in life now, and just the way I raise my daughter now is a lot has to do with just that, handle success as you handle failure. And just to live in the moment. I mean, Tennessee was some of the best time of my life. And she would always tell me, you know, the coaches would always tell me, I want to go to the WNBA, and I want to play, I want to get drafted. But these were the best years. These were the best years. You know, I mean, you come into TBA, 20,000 screaming fans for you. You go out to dinner. Everybody, good or bad, knows your stats from the night before. Might not be a good thing. I have had several Tennessee fans like, you're not rebounding like you're supposed to. Oh gosh. But everybody knows everything, and that just shows the amount of support that you have here at the University of Tennessee. And another lesson I learned while I was here was you are what you repeatedly do. And that goes in everyday life, in relationships, as a teammate, as a friend, as a mother. You know, I want to be trustworthy. I want to be respected. I want to, you know, have that amongst my peers, amongst my daughter. And so you are what you repeatedly do. So I want, you know, and at Tennessee, this program was built on blood, sweat, tears, everything. And I think that's why we're repeatedly successful. And that's why we'll, you know, be in the future as well. And to do what's right. I have a quick story for you guys. I didn't do what's right all the time, and one of those instances was in Chicago. I missed curfew, and it was in my hometown. It was the only home game I played in my whole career. And Coach Summitt and I had been going back and forth a little bit before that. At Stanford, we lost. We didn't really see eye to eye on the loss, and you know, it was difficult. I'll just put it to you that way. And I went to Chicago, and it was New Year's. We had to be back at a certain time, and I missed curfew. And Coach knows everything. She knows everything, even in Chicago, not just in Knoxville. She knows everything. So of course she knew that I missed curfew. And I remember having this meeting, and she came to me and was like, so what do you want to do? And you know, at this point, I'm a stubborn 21-year-old, you know. I'm like, I don't know what you want to do, you know, bench me. She's like, oh, that's going to happen. I'm like, I'm going to bench you. But, you know, I just want to know what you feel that the punishment should be. So, of course, at the end, you know, I'm frustrated, I'm mad, and, you know, she benched me for the first half in front of my family and friends. And I think I gained so much respect from her just from that, because, you know, she could have kind of brushed it under the rug and not really taught me a lesson, but I learned a lot from that. And, you know, going forward, that's that's kind of how I'm raising my daughter. That's how I was raised at home with my mom and dad, and going forward, that's a story that I know I'm gonna have to tell my daughter at some point. And the last lesson, I've learned many lessons, but the last lesson that's been of impact to me is the slogan, dress for the job you want instead of the job you have. And in context of that, I mean, the coaches here in the University of Tennessee has taught me, when I came in high school, when I was younger, I remember my dad, I was the tallest kid on the court, and he could have put me by the basket and been like, make right hooks, make left hooks, and I probably would have scored because the next girl was 5'5". But you know what? My parents encouraged me to dribble the ball. They encouraged me to be able to shoot. They encouraged me to be able to be mobile and run the floor. And when I got to college, I probably could have gone right every time. But Coach Summitt encouraged me to use my left hand. She encouraged me to dribble the ball. They encouraged me to move on the floor. In the WNBA, the same thing. So I'm saying you can't always just do what's good enough. You have to do what's great. And I think that's what the University of Tennessee is. And that's what it's taught me. Success is a journey. In the words of Pat, you've never arrived. Ever. No matter how great you are, you've never arrived. And this is just a huge honor to be standing here before you, to have this honor. When I was playing basketball at night, rebounding, doing things like that, when I looked up into the rafters, I wasn't dreaming about having my jersey up there. I was dreaming of putting national championships up there. And I think it's really special to have my name on those national championships in 2007 and 2008. And I hope many more years are to come with this university, because it holds a special place in my heart. And I really appreciate you guys having me here. And I really am just grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.